Welcome into the halfway house, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight?
I'm on the 19th right now.
Well, tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. You usually watch our show, The Golfing Dad's Tavern, and we talk golf all the time on there, have golf stuff. But we have this, the halfway house now, and we're not just going to talk golf here. We're going to talk some other fun topics. So tonight's topic, everybody, are you ready for this? It is the best college football traditions. We are coming up on one of the best days in college football next weekend. Or this weekend, actually.
Can we just say I'm sorry if you're an Alabama fan, but Vandy beating Alabama was probably the greatest thing that ever happened week of college football.
This has been very exciting the past few weeks. College football has been
like
amazing.
This coming, between last weekend, Vandy beating Alabama, Arkansas beating Tennessee, and now this weekend where you have
Miami's
LSU,
25-point comeback against Cal.
Yeah, but now you get right into this weekend, all of the matchups this week, including that night game at Death Valley with Ole Miss at LSU.
You have 2 versus 3 at Ohio State versus Oregon in a new Big Ten matchup.
Right.
You have Penn State versus USC.
At Oregon.
Yeah. Ohio State and Penn State both have to go to the West Coast for their big games this week.
Yep.
Can I just talk about what is a great college football tradition in the Army-Navy game? And we have a scenario out there right now that is the perfect doomsday scenario for this 12-team college football playoff. Do you know what this is?
Yes, I am
Navy
aware
are both
of this,
undefeated
yes.
at this point. Yes.
If Army and Navy stay undefeated, both beat Notre Dame, they will play for the American Championship the week before the Army-Navy game.
Navy game, yes.
Yes.
So we could have a scenario where one of them wins the championship, one of them wins the other wins the Army-Navy game. They're still tied. And do we put both them in the 12-team playoff?
Here's my question.
It's Army-Navy.
And I'm going to ask this question. You're the American Conference, so you're not a
Power 5.
No.
Yeah, Power 4. There's only 4 conferences left.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore.
That's true.
Can we just ask them to defer their championship game to Army-Navy if that's the case and let them play the Army-Navy game with all the pomp and circumstance and call it a day? Because it could really be unbelievable. Like, that game might be the greatest game of the year, and I'm a big bowl game guy.
The problem that they can't do with that is I think the American Conference has a stadium where they play the championship in, and it is not the link. Where they play the Army-Navy.
I'm just going to say
I've been fortunate enough. Have either of you guys, I know, Steve, you probably haven't. Greg, you probably have either of you been to either West Point or Annapolis for a game?
I've been to West Point. I've been there for a game. I've been to West Point.
I've been to West Point, not for a game, but I would agree with. I've been to West Point.
I have been there individually for a game, both at West Point, both at Annapolis. And the pomp and circumstance for the Army-Navy game carries over to just everything that they do in a normal game.
Well,
and
Dave,
we've said it before,
my dad went to Norwich,
going to
which
Augusta.
is a military
Going
school.
to Augusta, TV doesn't do that course justice. TV does not do justice anything for Army-Navy or even just any of their games. Now, I'd love to make it out to Air Force for a game and just kind of complete the trifecta, but hey.
So perfect, Dave. This is the perfect segue into this. This is what we're talking about here. This is about tradition. This is about what are those fun college football traditions that we see every week that you might see on TV that some of us have experienced in person. So, Steve, I'm going to defer to you first.
I agree. Can we just put a couple out there that are just the greatest ever? The Iowa Wave and Army-Navy, that we don't have to go down any of us as our favorites.
Well, no, we're going to go down all this stuff. But, I mean, what is one of the ones that you think is a great one out there?
The top of my bucket list, and I've done it at a bowl game. I have it. I literally, you guys are going to make fun of me because it's another Big Ten school, and I know you guys are Big Ten fans. I want to jump around at Wisconsin at Camp Randall. I want to go to Camp Randall and jump around so bad because I've done it at a bowl game at the Citrus Bowl twice, and it's still the coolest experience. My dad looked at me. We were at a game. We were sitting, and you guys have been in the Citrus Bowl, right?
Yep. Been to bowl games at Citrus Bowl.
Bowl games at Citrus Bowl. We were sitting right between the goalposts, so like the halfway point. So we were right in between. It was it was Jadeveon Clowney's last game in college. Steve Spurrier was coaching at South Carolina still. in Wisconsin. And the start of the fourth quarter comes around and Jump Around comes on. And when I tell you, my dad looked at me, he goes, "Remind me again why you didn't go to a bigger college that had football." That's all he said to me. He goes, "This is the
Because I went to school where it was warm."
Correct. I did. I was 15 minutes from the beach. We had a golf course on campus.
Yeah.
So
Penn State, my alma mater, has to go to Wisconsin next week, the 26th.
yes.
So that could be a time to go out there.
Greg,
and
I'd say
experience
come
the
up,
jump
but
around.
I'll
gonna be
be
tough.
transatlantic.
Yeah, you will be for that. So, Dave, speaking of that, so Jump Around, Steve, Dave, what's one of the first ones that comes to mind for you? And
For
don't
me,
steal
you
mine.
know, I'm not stealing yours. I'm not. I live in Iowa now, and I was there for the first time it happened for a night game, the Iowa Wave. You know, it is to be there in person for that and what that means for the Children's Hospital there, and the fact that all the other teams have now just adopted that and turning around and waving from the sidelines there now. It is a bone-chilling experience to be in the stadium and look up at that hospital and see all those kids waving back. And yeah, TV, you know, points out the signs and everything like that. But being in the stadium and just turning around, I was on the Iowa sideline for Iowa Penn State for the first night game where that happened back in 2017. And to turn around and look at the hospital and you could see the people in the windows waving back. It is one of the more memorable college football experiences I've ever had. And then Penn State went on and won.
Well, yeah, they did in an amazing fashion too. So with that, I mean, that's the great thing about these traditions is they have so much history and stuff to them. So, like, I mean, for me, I'm obviously going to say Penn State. I'm going to say the whiteout is an amazing experience for there. I was at the first stripe out game, which they did the stripe out last week against UCLA, but I was at the first stripe out game. That was a blowout against Rutgers. Sorry to my dad who was there with me. He had to watch his alma mater get blown out by Penn State in that game. The whiteout is unlike anything else. People have tried to replicate it, and you cannot replicate the energy of the whiteout. That's why Franklin has been asking for every game for whiteout energy. But I'm going to say a different tradition at Penn State that I think is one of the greatest, most underrated traditions that everyone actually steals and doesn't think they steal it. And I wrote it under my name here, the We Are tradition, the chant of We Are Penn State, and the history behind that. If you haven't seen it, there's an ESPN short that talks about this history, and the history behind We Are Penn State. That chant actually came out of segregation when Penn State had African-American players and were going to play Miami, and Miami did not want Penn State to bring their African-American players, and our captains as a team said, "We are Penn State. If you don't bring all of us, we're not coming to play you." Yep. And that's where that chant comes from. And that's the significance behind that. So whenever you say "we are" as your team, I don't care if other places steal it because it is a great chant. You are chanting for your team, for everybody. And that's why that is a great tradition in my eyes.
But nobody does it better than Penn State when one half of the stadium yells "We Are," the other half yells "Penn State."
And then thank
Steve
you and you're welcome at the end too.
Yeah. So Steve talked about it earlier with Jump Around with music being involved. I'm going to jump into another music one where I've been at because I went to school down in Southern Virginia. I've been over to Virginia Tech for many of game.
Oh, that one was on my list too, Dave. That was on my list.
Well, I've been there. I've been there in person, and hearing Enter Sandman in Virginia Tech is one of the for musically. Watching that happen is just an unbelievable experience. The fact that Metallica has backed Virginia Tech in using that,
I find it funny with them because they backed Mariano as well when Mariano used Enter Sandman as well. They literally have put themselves out there, and I appreciate the fact that they have done that as a band.
Yeah,
unless you're downloading their stuff off of Napster.
Yeah,
right.
So, Greg, do you have a music one?
So I don't have a music one per se. One that I like, and I'm going to hate that I'm saying this about this school, but they did lose last week, so I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. Have you seen the Alabama Light Show? Like that light show is unbelievable, where they have all the fans with the lights and the sound in the stadium. So it is sound to it, but that's a fun light show and a fun atmosphere. And like I like that when you're amping up that crowd, when you're amping up your home crowd like that. I think that's fun. I hate that I'm giving Alabama credit for that, but it is a cool thing that's out there.
Yeah.
We're going with sound and things like that. Steve, what do you got?
Steve, you had jump around for sound earlier. Do
I have another one though?
Or do you want to?
I have another one.
Like Greg and
I have
were?
another one. I have another one that they're gonna play on Saturday night this week, in Death Valley. We're gonna call Baton Rouge. We're gonna call Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Like that tradition, and you could throw a bunch in there. I wrote a bunch of those down earlier. Funny, Dave, that you asked that question. Whether it's calling Baton Rouge, Dixieland Delight at Alabama, Rocky Top in Tennessee.
Rocky Top
Petty,
is the most annoying, catchy, and amazing song ever.
All the same.
By the way, did you
Petty,
see
I won't back
Rocky
down
Top this weekend after the game?
Arkansas did, and that was amazing that they did that. They
That
went
was
out
awesome.
Sweet Caroline.
Petty, I Won't Back Down is another one, in Gainesville. That's a good one. And then, Dave, I'm surprised you didn't go there with this one. There's one more they play up there in West Virginia.
I've never been to a game at West Virginia.
They play Country Roads.
Yeah.
But
so, we're talking music. We're talking iconic things. I'm going to talk entrances right now. So it kind of goes.
I like where you're going.
With music. I'm going to go with another one I've been at, and I think it's a copycat because I know more than one school does it. I've been at UVA, at University of Virginia, watching them run down the hill, which Clemson does it as well too. I think it is the stupidest thing because somebody's going to blow a knee out one day, but watching the team run down the hill into the game, UVA does it, Clemson does it. It's a great way to psych up the crowd and running in. And I know there's a whole bunch of other entrances that I'm sure we're going to get into. But watching those guys run down the hill into the stadium, it's a great way to start the game.
So I'm going to take
I had Howard's Rock written down.
I did too. I had Howard's Rock.
I had Howard's Rock written as a top.
I'm going to take a school here in Indiana that has one of the most iconic entrances. It's not really a big entrance, but it's iconic. You know what this is. And it's Play Like a Champion. Tapping that sign, walking down that stairwell. That is iconic. That is such a cool way to, like, when you're going out there, you hit that sign and you're ready. It pumps you up. It gets you excited about that. So for my Notre Dame friends out there, that is, I think, a great way to get your team psyched out on the field. It's a great college football tradition.
Steve?
So, I'm in the process of trying to download a video that YouTube, this is my video. I took the video. I'm trying to get it onto the computer here because I didn't realize we were going to go down this road. There is a tradition they do at UCF that they've started.
UCF has a tradition?
Yeah,
doesn't that just rotate every 4 years?
Is that called hanging a fake national championship sign in your stadium?
Listen, I want you to look up how many of those fake ones Alabama has, and they beat the teams that were playing. So I'm just saying, undefeated, only team.
Is Steve Cox there, like feeding you information?
No, he doesn't have to be. I'm good with this.
So while Steve tries to download that, a couple we probably didn't mention that are just iconic from a television standpoint. Ralphie from Colorado. Running out onto the field, and the Boomer Sooner wagon.
That's like on my screen right here.
The bandwagon,
literal bandwagon.
Yeah, when it doesn't tip over.
Another one that I will say that I am not looking forward to this weekend is the USC Trojan and his sword.
And the sword
is stabbing that into. But I'm going to go back to who they're playing this weekend is my Nittany Lions.
Yeah,
and the drum major flip is a tradition in Happy Valley. If he doesn't make the
Greg,
flip,
I think you and I have both been there for one of the other most sacred traditions in Penn State, the mascot reveal on senior year when he does take his head off.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
But,
that's
you
an
know,
end of the year tradition. That's a little bit
that's an
different.
end of the
but
year tradition.
That's a mascot
But-
tradition, and I do like.
Yeah, but you have mascots. We're talking great
Yep.
traditions. Mascots. You have Ralphie. You have Uga.
Ooh, Uga's
Live
good.
animals on the sideline. How do you get more traditional than that?
The War Eagle. I mean, I'll give
War Eagle?
that's a good tradition. Is the eagle going across the stadium at Clemson?
For a school that is
Clemson,
named
at,
after the Auburn Tigers that has
Auburn,
a
yeah.
War Eagle chant. Our favorite trivia host, James, if you're out there somewhere, War Eagle, let's try and explain that to us a little bit more one day after a couple beverages.
He has canceled his shows if you're playing in Central Florida.
If you're playing in Central Florida,
Puzzles has
Puzzles
canceled his
Entertainment.
shows.
Yes. But you talk about these great traditions. You have music, you have entrances. Another great tradition is teams with uniforms. And I think you and I, Greg, we have it underneath our screens, is just the most iconic uniform that is out there, the simplest uniform that is out there. But you go Army, Navy, what they did, their uniforms when they're playing that game for it, and especially if they're playing for the Commander-in-Chief trophy, the respect that they pay to their divisions within there, whether it's the uniforms, the helmet, the patches, can you think of what other teams are you thinking of out there, for a traditional uniform, that is just going to come across as, they may not wear it all the time, but when you see it, you just go, that's that school.
I was having a conversation with someone today, a friend of mine who fellow Penn State alum, and we were talking about NIL deals and everything like that. And how I said, I don't like the names on the back of the jerseys. And I really think that all colleges should go to the Penn State motto of just a number. You are part of a team. Your name is not bigger than the team. Like when you get to the pro level, your name should be on your jersey. Like that's 100%. And I know I have my name on the jersey literally behind me while I'm saying this.
You're a Yankees fan. They don't have names on the jerseys.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But it's that tradition, I think, is having that and keeping that. And the one thing that Penn State did when we went through our hard times there, and the players that stayed that could have transferred away, they honored them by letting them put their names on for a season and then took it back off. And I thought that was a cool tradition to kind of do is, hey, let's honor the players that stayed here and let them put their names on for one season, be the only team that at Penn State that ever did that. And that was a really cool tradition as well.
Yeah.
Another one that I have on here is Texas A&M, the 12th man. I think the 12th man, honoring that, I think is a great way, is a great thing that they do for football as well. And I think that's another tradition out there. Steve, what else do you got?
I'm going to say this.
Your video download.
It's working on WeTransfer right now. It's too big. You talk about the 12th man, and I know we're talking college football, but the 12th man when baseball, when somebody gets on a ball streak, have you seen that?
Yes.
Ball 4, ball 5, ball 6. Like they just keep counting, and literally, I don't even know how anybody could pitch in that environment.
The 12th man is ruthless.
The 12th man is ruthless. I think when you look at from a tradition standpoint, the war chant at Florida State is another one that you look at and you're like, you can break it at any time. And I know that they've done a lot in trying to, some teams have done a lot with trying to get rid of the war chant, the Guardians in Cleveland, the Braves. But that war chant is pretty impressive when everybody in the stadium is doing it.
Yep.
Now, granted, Florida State's terrible this year. Gator Chomp, yeah.
Here's the thing. A lot of times, like when they had Chief Iwani or whatever at University of Illinois, that was the local tribe that came out and taught them how to do that and do it respectfully. And so those are great things. Those are great traditions that are there. Colleges are so heaped in tradition, heaped in that legacy that they have. And that I think that's a great thing for sports. I think that's out there. So with that, anybody got any last minute traditions that they want to talk about?
I think we've hit the nail on the head pretty well. We've had entrances, we've had uniforms, we've had fight songs, we've had songs. I think when it comes down to it, it's just here and a tradition that's not a tradition, but it's kind of a tradition is ESPN Game Day and the Washington State flag that is flying.
College game day, yeah.
College game day, and that flag. I've had some friends that have been recipients of the flag to make it there for game day, and I think what game day has become in the essence of college football. Fox is trying to do it right now, and they're doing a pretty good. They're getting better at it, but they're not game day. What game day brings to a city is a tradition unto itself.
Yeah, that's just a tradition that all of us can share as college football fans, out there. And that's the thing.
You want to go down game day road? I'll go down the game day road.
Well, we're not going down the game day road here. We're just talking.
Yeah, I love Corso and the headgear.
Yeah, they have that tradition that's there, and that's the thing. We can all share in these traditions. We can share in our own traditions, but we can also honor other traditions that are out there. And that's the thing that we're all about here on the Golfing Dads is tradition, history, fun, enjoying what you enjoy.
YouTube, this is my video.
You just put this up there. All right, so we can. This is what we're talking about here. These are the kind of things that are fun, that get you hyped up and get you pumped. So that's what we wanted to kind of talk about.
The one thing I will say that I don't like about that, you can't do that in a day game.
So, well, that is true.
That has to be a night game tradition.
For a night game, there are fun traditions that are time sensitive for that. Like the Penn State does the whiteout. We only do it for our night games. That's what we do the whiteout for, and that whiteout energy is there, and it's that energy. That's what it's about. That's what the fun is. So, if you like this show, subscribe, watch.
Let us know. Let us know in the comments what is your favorite college football
tradition,
or any sports tradition. What's your favorite tradition? So.
And let us know if you have anything that we want to talk about. Remember, the Halfway House is our fun little channel. Talk about really anything that we find fun that we're not going to have normally in the tavern. So enjoy, everybody.
It's for
Thanks for watching.
It's for our fans.
Yep. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.
I'm really fortunate, man. Having the opportunity to build something that's
somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits for 700